Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a truly special online event today. It's called Experience Quantum Energy Activation, Clear Blocks with the Living Bridge Energy System for Profound Healing and Vitality. My name is Stephen Dyna. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network. And one of the things I love is to explore the frontiers of healing and to find the real deal healers out there. A couple of years ago, we were introduced through one of our most beloved Shift faculty members, Suzanne Giesman, to our featured faculty today, Annie B. Bond. She is a remarkable healer. In fact, I did 8 or 9, 10 sessions over the course of a year with her, and we've got some remarkable benefits myself. And she's taught once for Shift before, and today we're going to get to explore her a new dimension of her energy transmissions and healing work. And if you are excited by what you hear today, we do have a brand new course with her called Quantum Source Energy Activation that we'll share more about towards the end of the hour. The one thing I neglected to say is that she is an author, she's a teacher, and she's the founder of Awakening Prana, and altogether remarkable soul. So Annie, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's totally my honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Well, let's dive in. And I particularly like to start with your own journey into energy healing, since I know you started as somewhat of a skeptic and were sort of propelled into this out of need, and then made lots of amazing discoveries that benefit us. So maybe share a little bit about your journey first.
Yeah, sometimes your spirit knocks you on the head and gets you way off track of where you thought your life was going, and that certainly happened to me. My then husband was a graduate student, and I worked at a restaurant to help support us, and I could paint during the day. And there was a gas leak that sent 80 people to the hospital, and I was one of them. And I ended up having what they thought was permanent central nervous system damage. And I was in the hospital for 3 months, and I was super sick. And it started a journey of trying to figure out what the heck to help myself. And Western medicine is wonderful for some things. It wasn't particularly good for damaged central nervous system from a gas exposure. And so I ended up finally found an environmental health doctor, one of the first ever. This was 1980, so 81. You can imagine environmental health wasn't managed at that time. And I had become a bubble case. The whole world was toxic to me. I literally needed a gas mask to get into New York City to see a doctor. And so what ended up following was about 5 years of my having to hide from chemicals. I needed clean air. I needed to be away from chemicals. And so I unwittingly became one of the first real green living experts in the world, because I had to learn how to live without chemicals. And I ended up writing 5 books on green living. I had a really prestigious career with that. I worked with Meryl Streep and Deepak Chopra. But anybody who's as sick as I was, or is constantly pushing the envelope, trying to come up with a new, more to get better. I mean, I was so much better, but I was still vulnerable and needed to live in a safe home and all that kind of thing. And I became a Reiki master, but I wasn't taught well. And then I ended up taking I still had my day job at Green Living, and I really did a deep dive for 2 years into energy healing. And I really started feeling the effect of my energy, on my body, my health. And with that, I never looked back. I expanded in sound healing and everything. And by 2014, I was really ready to sort of switch to be a healer and teach healing, because I really understood that there was finally a trajectory for my own health I could follow. And I was no longer helpless. I had tools to stabilize myself. I had tools to bring myself out of a really dangerous health problem. And so it's just been an incredible joy for me to be able to bring this to other people, some of these skills. And also it's been just phenomenal for my own life.
Well, it's definitely those kind of disastrous sort of circumstances are a great learning environment. So one of the things I really appreciate about you is your ability to create this very synthetic understanding of energy work, our energy bodies, and have like a real systematic way of not just intuitively going into things, but just really having a really structured, thorough approach to dealing with whatever we're challenged with. So I'd love to start with a little bit of the context for today, and that we're going to be talking a lot about quantum source activations, and maybe start with a little bit of your understanding of the energy systems that power us and how this accessing of quantum source energy can be so important in that healing process.
Well, you're really right. I mean, obsessed is too strong a word, but I have been absolutely fixated on the energy body for 2 decades now because I I was taught that, you go in and you work with the chakras and this and that, but it was very static. And I started beginning to understand that, in fact, the energy body is this incredibly perfect flowing system, and it's our consciousness. And so the breakthrough to me was to build a relationship with my higher self and my soul, and that this would have the intention of working with those energies and receiving the guidance for my life from them, and how to help my energy body was really, I think, the fundamental shift, and it will always be. A day doesn't go by I mean, here's a quick little thing. I ask my higher self to bring me a healing, whatever's in my highest good. Or I ask my soul to bring me a healing, whatever's in the highest good. And I did that every day for years, and you could feel the energy shift inside of you. So it's just opens infinite possibilities when you develop that relationship.
So let's talk about source energy and why, like, what is it about accessing source energy that is particularly vital for really reorienting and healing our human energy system?
Well, we we were always designed, our energy bodies were always designed to be perfectly connected to source energy. Source energy is the all that is. It's a very high vibration. It carries all the data points of us, of who we are. And so we, over time, humans disconnected more and more from this part of the energy body that connects to source. So we were missing that high cleansing, rejuvenating energy. We weren't receiving it well anymore. And so the purpose of and when you receive that energy, it just brings your whole system into dynamism. And so it goes down what's called the central axis, down through the middle of us, and our soul energy comes in, our higher self, living light. And so this becomes the living bridge to our physicality. This working to access this light into our physicality is really the spectacular aspect of the energy body. And at the end of this little section right now, I'm going to give a meditation for people to actually have the sense of that that source energy, creation energy, to come to them and heal whatever they want to heal. They can have an intention.
I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you perceive psychically that people get cut off from this source energy. If it's sort of our natural baseline to be connected to it and dynamically healed by it, what happens to create that interrupt or breakdown?
Well, I think it's about, I think humans, I mean, to be fair, we come on to this planet there's so much density here that we get bogged down by the density of the lower vibration of which we are surrounded. And then, we're I mean, this new little grandbaby, I mean, he came in just like the little Buddha, just like, whoo, just the most beautiful little thing. The babies coming in now are incredible. But then suddenly, his wasn't fed on time, or his older brother whamped him on the head, or, this perfection that suddenly they're thought maybe the life isn't so fun. Maybe it's fun sometimes, but not other times. These things happen that drag us down, and that we don't really have tools to clear ourselves. And if we're connected to source energy, that'll automatically clear. But we're not trained to do that in our culture. And so there's that, but there's also the connection to the heart of the earth and the heart of the sun, and fully embodying as humans on the planet, right? So that we are, and that's a profound yin energy that we connect to Mother Earth, the matter, and the profound yang energy with the sun. And what I've discovered in all of my research, and it's so profound, is that we're bioelectric beings, and we need the yin and we need the yang, we need the negative and the positive energies, because they need to connect, and that's how we activate. So we all, there's a disrespect for the planet very often, or there's this problem or that, the bad mother, the bad father, the wonderful mother, the wonderful father, but that it all burdens us and lowers us, our vibration. And so as we connect more to the heart of the earth, heart of the sun, and bring in source energy, the system flows and moves that lower density out. You don't even need to do anything. It'll just take it out, because it's not supposed to clog up our system. We're not supposed to, our systems aren't supposed to be clogged up, but they are.
So it sounds like some of it is just the challenges of incarnating in general. Some of it is our societal conditioning. And how much is like, actual specific traumatic incidents that you need to kind of get in there and clear?
I think it's a matter of raising all of the above.
Hmm.
I mean, but, and they're as one clears one's mother wounds and father wounds, which is what I taught before on shift, and the Trinity activations and the yin and the yang from our family of origin, we start becoming more whole and more balanced, and the system starts working for us. And so it's not like we leapfrog over the suffering, but if as we bring more light in, the suffering is more, you're able to witness it more.
Hmm.
You're able to um, uh, not have it take control of you, because you can have a perspective on it, and then you could bring in the flow of the energy, which comes in through that central axis to mitigate the lower vibration,
Hmm.
and you just become lighter and lighter.
Hmm.
So
That's interesting. So it's like by activating the source energy, you're actually making the healing process of the specific traumas much easier because there's kind of less attachment to it, it sounds like.
unbelievable. I mean, the way you navigate the world and things going wrong or being in stress or things like that, or just you're in a field and it's different. Everything just starts flowing, and you start getting, you're more tapped in a weird kind of insight to the synchronicities start happening. So you're in flow, like all of a sudden, oh, you know what? That's not what I want. I want this. And you go that way and things improve. You get more tapped in to it. And that's back to the relationship with our soul and higher self, right? It's like your soul and higher self want you to succeed, and they're working hard to help you. And as you can open to that more and more, as your energy bodies opens, then you are able to receive the guidance.
Hmm. I want to ask you about the power of intention and how to harness that for this process of quantum source re-engagement.
Intention is incredibly important, and a lot of it is because we have free will, right? And I know that my soul and higher self aren't going to jump in and do things for me unless I ask for it. And so if I ask for help, that sets the intention that my will is behind what I want to have happen. And that makes a huge, they will not, they meaning soul, higher self. I mean, quite a mystic, right? So the archangels, whatever, they will not step in and interfere without our asking them. And so that's where the intention is.
Makes sense. In describing today, you said you made an interesting statement that I think it's worth exploring. You said your energy is not broken, it's brilliant. Share a little bit more what you mean by that.
The Well, I think that the A good example, I think, was when I was really sick. It felt like my energy, my system was broken, but I was not connecting to the energy body that carried the absolutely brilliance of all the data points of my quantum self, all the perfect blueprint of who I really am. And so it's suddenly getting access to the brilliance of our consciousness and how we became human and our energy body in flow, that everything transforms completely.
Makes sense. Well, let's talk a little bit about techniques and how do you start to open this quantum source energy flow, and then and then we can lead into setting up the actual practice.
Well, I think one of the things I'd like to introduce is the elements. That working with earth and fire and water and air and ether is a big part of the practice we're going to do. That we are, and it's the huge breakthrough of the whole understanding of our energy body, that we are earth, we are water, we are air, we are fire, we're ether. And ether is a little understood element, and it's really about, um, like Sadhguru says, ether is source. Um, I like to think of ether as sort of eternal love. It's like when you hear of people having a NDE, the near death experience, they often talk about they see this pulsing light of love, and I that to me is ether. So, and that's the yang energy. There's no matter in there. It's all space, whereas Mother Earth is all matter, and that's the yin energy, and we are all of them. I mean, and they each one of these elements have their, in my belief, have their own consciousness, and so we are mixing ourselves with the elements are what helps us connect to source and bring healing and balance and harmony to our body. So we want to choose, like some people, many of the people listening will know the Emoto work, where the water is frozen, um, and it's imbued with love, and it's a gorgeous mandala when it's frozen in the crystals. If it's imbued with hate, the energy is all like this. And so when we work with the elements in this meditation healing that I'm going to lead us through, we will be bringing each one of the elements into their high balance of that perfect mandala, each one. And so we're raising our vibration, and one could work with I mean, this is besides working with your higher self and soul. I ask the elements to come into their highest possible balance, relationship, harmony, and vibration on my behalf. And oh my Lord, the things shift and change. And some of like when I was working with people who had COVID, um, back in the early stages of COVID, when the energy was like a broken windshield, where it was all cracked, but all held together, the modern windshields, car windshield. And nothing would get through that. People couldn't breathe, except when I brought in the elements, earth, fire, water, air, and ether, they could get through that. I stayed up all night with my daughter's father-in-law, who was just about to go into the ICU, asking the elements over and over and over again, and they shifted the whole energy field. So the elements are a big, big piece of, I mean, the elements, yin and yang balancing, and connecting to our soul and higher self, I think, are very fundamental.
So what I'm hearing from that is it's like when we're kind of balancing our local elements in our energy field, then that sort of naturally opens us up more to the kind of wider source energy.
Huge, because the wider source energy is actually the elements too. So we are in the complete flow with the way the universe actually works. And so, it goes back to my chemical sensitivity. Little did I know I was really trying to balance the elements in my life. Instead of a synthetic candle, I'd get a beeswax candle, right? And it would be balancing the fire element, but in a natural, healthy way. So it's sort of weirdly in and out, inner and outer at the same time. So
So it also kind of brings up an interesting point that most of us are probably being imbalanced by a lot of these synthetics and
Yeah.
toxins around us in ways that so most of us are probably walking around fairly imbalanced in the elements to start with.
Absolutely. And it is such a joy to start working with them in oneself and understanding, I read this in the Hathor material by Tom Kenyon a couple of 20 years ago. Stayed with me. It took me years that they were saying that they're huge divine beings of consciousness. The elements are, and once I finally started getting it, I was like, oh my Lord. And they brought this incredible generosity to give us life and planet, that we've got our bones and all of that. But the thing is that it's there's this incredible law of reciprocity. If you thank the elements for carrying all this for us, oh my Lord, the energy, the love they send back to you is just phenomenal. So it's a weird, it's so much part of the universe. You give and you take, and it's very very deep, I think, connecting to the
Hmm.
elements.
Well, this has all been really illuminating just to start with, but let's go ahead and tee up the experiential you want to lead to give us a direct experience of a quantum energy activation.
Okay, that sounds great. And as I say, I wanted to introduce the elements for this. So I would take a, get, I think it's good to sit upright if you can and take a few deep breaths. And you're going to want to set an intention for something that you want healed. It could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be a lifestyle issue, it could be spiritual, whatever it is that you want more harmony around. So take a minute or so to think about what it is you'd like the healing for. And I want to also just help with a visual. That central axis that carries source energy, again, goes down through your center, comes down into the top of your head, goes down all the way down into the ground. This carries all the data points, your quantum self, your perfect blueprint, perfect DNA. It's living light. And I think you could easily say that what we're going to do is establish a living bridge to bring source energy to whatever this issue is. And I'm going to speak in the I voice so that you can better connect. I ask the sacred elements, earth and fire, water, air, and ether, to pull source energy to the issue around which I'd like more harmony, and to distribute it evenly and fully. I ask the sacred elements to pull source energy to the issue around which I want more harmony, and to distribute it evenly and fully. I ask the sacred elements, earth and fire, water, air, and ether, to pull source energy to this issue. You, over time, will be able to feel the pull. The elements are pulling source energy to the issue. We ask to distribute it evenly and fully. Ask the elements to distribute it. I ask the sacred elements to pull source energy, pull source energy to the issue I would like harmony around. And I ask the elements to distribute this source energy evenly and fully. Feel the elements pulling source energy to where it's needed. And think of the issue that you want harmony around and ask the sacred elements to bring it into yin and yang balance. I ask the sacred elements, earth and fire, water, air, and ether, to bring this issue into yin and yang balance. I ask the sacred elements to bring this issue into yin and yang balance. Drink in the yin and the yang in balance. And again, I ask the sacred elements, earth and fire and water and air and ether, to pull source energy from my central axis. Pull and pull source energy to this issue that I want more harmony around. And I ask the sacred elements to distribute the source energy evenly and fully. Pull and pull source energy to where it's needed. I ask the sacred elements to pull and pull source energy to where it's needed. Pull and pull. And we thank the sacred elements, earth and fire and water and air and ether, And we thank Source. May this healing be in our most profound and highest good. Thy will be done. Oho Matakoyasan.
It was very beautiful, balancing, peaceful.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
How do you recommend we continue that now that there's an activation of it?
It's a very simple thing to remember. They could just jot down, I ask the sacred elements to pull source energy to where it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really
Just keep
simple.
pulling source energy in. So in some ways, it's just opening the aperture rather than trying
Yeah.
to change much.
Yeah, it totally is. And it'll bring so much light to places that need it. And it's the elements that do it. So the elements are what makes things move. If you think about it, water flows and air blows. And so you need the elements to pull source energy in.
Mm-hmm. Can you share more about how, if you have a specific trauma or something that you're working with that might have more tangle, more knotted up in different ways, how you can apply the quantum source energy to that as well?
I would identify that as the intention that you want healed. Two things I think that would be nice to add to that is compassion is a profoundly healing energy that you could ask your soul and higher self to bathe the issue in compassion, and that'll shift things. I had some things with my father I could not shift until I asked my higher self to bathe me in compassion around that issue, and all of a sudden it just changed my life. Done. It was so, because I think compassion helps you understand the other person's perspective also. So that was really, really deep. And then I have one more thing that I would recommend. It's that you set the intention of what it is that needs healing, and then just say, and you could jot this down. They could jot, people listening, please jot this down. I am all one elemental perfection. In this issue, I am all one elemental perfection. I am all one elemental perfection. And it's almost like a tuning forks get your energy body shifting. So I am one elemental perfection. I had a 4-hour drive back from Boston to Rhinebeck when I was living there. And I had, I'm not giving medical advice, I'm just saying this is what happened to me, but I had a lot of tick-borne disease. I was very stiff. The whole 4 hours I said, I am all one elemental perfection. I am all one elemental perfection. Thinking of the emoto work, and the love, the highest, perfect. And I've never been, I was stiffed for driving, and haven't been stiff since. So it was just, that's a little tip for people to use for themselves and see how it feels.
So. I am all one elemental perfection. So what's happening in your energy body when you make that affirmation? When you sort of
and I just, a few people I've taught that to, and they've said, "Ooh, I don't like the word perfection," but I'm talking about perfection not in the 3D ego world. I'm talking about in the spiritual perfection. So what your body is doing is, if you think of, the Emoto work is a great example. The beautiful mandala of the love versus the water imbued with all the trauma that's like this. You're asking all the elements to come into their highest vibration of love so that they're all functioning at that high level, and they overpower the lower vibration energies. And it's actually incredibly profound how healing it is. So
it's a bit like a tuning fork. So by setting that affirmation, you're sort of getting your system to harmonize at that level.
Yep, exactly right.
That's really interesting. How does all this work with the quantum source work with so the Trinity work that we talked with you last time about?
It's all part of it. It's one of the it's all part of it. The yin and the yang balancing is the electrical system that gets the dynamism of the energy body moving. And so you need that activation of the healed mother, the healed father, the divine mother, the divine father, mother earth, father son. You need all of that working in balance. Most of us are deficient in one or the other. So like I couldn't get grounded until I had more father son energy, for example. I mean, it wasn't Mother Earth that I needed, but a lot of people need Mother Earth. That it's the balancing of these is incredibly important. And I think in some ways that might be the real challenge of our lives in, our families of origin, is like get having coming into balance with the mother, the father, and how do we integrate the yin and the yang in ourselves.
Hmm.
So
So it sounds like this coming into balance or harmonization between different energies is it's not as much about like focusing on or fixing whatever the sort of problem or trauma is. You're sort of like always trying to draw things into a higher harmonic, it sounds like.
I think so, but it doesn't mean like you can't go for something like I did with the tick-borne disease when I was so stiff. It doesn't mean you can't go for the specifics. It's just sometimes with an intention, instead of asking for something specific, I'll ask for whatever's in the highest good, right?
Mhm.
And then I'd be so surprised, like, wow, that's the energy's going to this issue, and I never thought that was. But my soul knew it was the highest good.
Hmm. I'd love for you to give a few examples of how you've worked through different sort of complex things with people using some of the principles and techniques you've talked about here today.
Well, the when I yeah, this is a really good one. Talking about the mother-father wounds. My mother wanted to go to Scotland before she died, and so it was 2001 or two, something. It was a long, long time ago. And she was extremely cranky. We were driving down a little high road, and I was driving on the wrong side of the road, of course, and the hedgerows, and she was driving me completely bonkers because she was being so critical. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I am going to drop her in a ditch, or I'm going to go in the ditch. I don't know what. And all of a sudden, boom, I got the absolute knowledge that it had nothing to do with me, and I was fine the rest of the trip. So it was from then on my go-to meditation. Anytime I hamster wheel about anything, I ask my higher self to bring a healing around this issue, whatever it is that's I'm triggered by, and I pray for insight. And I'll say that over and over again, and until I get the knowing, like I did that time when I was driving with my mother. Boom, and I'll know. And then I stop in. I used to hamster wheel all the time. I mean, I have three sisters after all, and that's not for nothing, right? But I don't do it anymore. So,
Hmm. Anything else that I haven't asked you about that you wanted to make sure to bring forward in today's call to really set some of these foundations in place for people to understand how to do this level of healing?
yeah, I think that what I would like to get across is an experience I had that I know that anybody can have, which is I remember starting this work and starting to begin to feel the energy body, and I suddenly had these tears coming down my face, and it was like I had come home, and I don't know where I'd been, but I came home. And the energy body is our home. I've often wanted to write a book called Cradled, so that we are cradled in this exquisite energy body. And this learning, I mean, this has been my focus for 20 years, is like, how can I have this cradled energy flow so that I'm always cradled in it? And it's just an incredible process to get there. It's wonderful.
Beautiful. Well, let's talk about your upcoming course, since I know this is a really beautiful way to go deeper into the everything we're talking about and really experience these activations and healings in a way that balances us, that heals and harmonizes our system, that brings our elements into balance and connects us to source. So Annie's agreed to teach this brand new program. The 4 shift is called Quantum Source Energy Activation. Become a living bridge between matter and source for profound healing and restored vitality. You can find it at the URL quantumsourceactivations.com, quantumsourceactivations.com. It's a 7-week program. There are no prerequisites for this. You don't have to have any level of energy mastery. She's really going to take you from square one to, or from very advanced place to where you need to go. So Annie, I'd love for you to share in your own words about some of your intentions for what people will come away with from this course. And then let's go and give a tour of the modules you'll be teaching.
My intention is for people to be in the flow of their deeper authenticity. and that the obstacles to that will have been washed away. So there's 7 steps really to get there that I'm weaving through all of the modules, and they're sequential in a very purposeful way.
Great. The first module is called Nexus Point Restore, the living bridge between matter and source for wisdom and vitality.
The first would be that we talked earlier about the separation we have and the density we're in, and we need to reconnect to this living bridge to source energy. And it's sort of the sort of overview of understanding that quantum self, so that it's not unattainable. It's understanding how to make that living bridge to our source energy.
Module 2, embody the elemental dynamism of the energy body to bring all parts of your health into balance and harmony.
The second module is more about the elements, and it's about our embodiment and being here now, and that the physical manifestation of our life. I was at a sort of age in the 70s where I was sort of picking up a lot of different things, and enlightenment back then, people tried to leave their body, and I think we're really shifting to enlightenment is about being embodied now.
Module 3 says embody your higher self to connect more deeply to your authenticity and intuition.
Yeah, so it's the driver of your well-being, right? Is this connection to your soul and higher self, and I can't emphasize enough how valuable that is, and that's the driver, because it was my soul and higher self that knocked me on the head and made me poison, because I wasn't paying attention to any of this. So once you start listening to them, and you follow the path that you're meant to follow. So then the module 4 is balancing yin and yang energies to regenerate your energy system and cultivate healthier relationships. And this is the bioelectric aspect that was the mother wound, the father wound, making sure that we come into harmony in this yin and yang, because this is where we actually have the biochemistry of the bioelectric aspect of coming into balance and it's a big activation.
Module 5 is connect to source and work with vortexes to remove blocks and experience your divine nature.
And this is the divine ignition, really. This is when the entire energy body wakes up and source energy flows unimpeded through ourselves. So.
And then module 6 goes into align with source through the numinous network to build energy, coherence, and resilience. That's intriguing. What's the numinous network?
That is very connected. In that meditation we did with the central axis and the elements, the living bridge, that's the numinous network, because we get this gorgeous filaments of light that come to where they're needed. It's the gorgeous filaments of light. That's the numinous network.
And then module 7, access full flow with source to regenerate your perfect blueprint and reach your full potential.
Well, this is really the data transmissions. It's like we have the perfection is already there. So it's retraining our lower vibration self to connect to the higher the perfection. And as we connect to that perfection, we come into a really high level of regenerative energy and healing. That's where the infinite possibilities come in.
Well, what a powerful program. And I can personally attest, as I said earlier, that you're the real deal and really know how to work with all sorts of deep energetic patterns and shifts to kind of rebalance the system, harmonize, reparent yourself, really access the deeper potentials that are latent within our inner energy bodies to heal. So again, the whole program is laid out in detail at quantumsourceactivations.com, quantumsourceactivations.com. If you choose to move forward, you're going to get the 7 90-minute live sessions with Andy, which includes time to ask your questions live, as well as engage as interactive practices. You also get recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts to work with, study, and highlight. There are weekly practices that you can really deepen things with at home. There's a community group to support you and to build connections around the world. And on the page, you also see a number of extra bonuses that Annie's been generous in adding to this program that enhance your journey. There's an audio sound healing activation and meditation called the 5-element inner attunement, returning to your elemental nature. You want to share a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Their sound is a profound healing, and I created a sound healing called the Dance of the Elements, and it's got a drum, and it's very deep. And the I've got a guided meditation that's part of it. So
Beautiful. And then there's a second bonus called Clearing Anxiety at the Root. This is a guided audio and PDF workbook that Annie's created. So you want to share more about that bonus as well?
absolutely, the very often trauma is based on a thought form that is often an illusion. And so, for example, someone who's been injured a lot by their father when they were growing up may think the world isn't safe, but it is sometimes safe, right? And so the workbook helps you drill into your thought forms that don't serve and transform them into a healing path forward.
So that's just the second bonus. Thank you for that. And then there's a third bonus that's a special bonus that you get if you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. This is an audio meditation that Annie's created called Sound Healing to Revitalize Your Energy Body, 7 Keys of Awakening Prana. Annie, you want to share more about that special bonus folks get today?
Well, this was a sound healing that was channeled to me, and I listened to it every night before I went to sleep and every morning when I woke up for 2 months, and it fundamentally changed my energy body because it fully harmonized everything. It's just extremely transformative, in fact. And I have people writing me all the time about the sound. But what's unique to this is that I give you that, but I also have a sort of specific guided meditation to help enhance the harmony of the sound healing that is just in this. So
Well, that's a great extra bonus and a great reason to sign up today. Is again, that's the Sound Healing to Revitalize Your Energy Body, 7 Keys of Awakening Prana. That's an audio meditation and your gift when you sign up by midnight tonight. So this is clearly going to be such a powerful and healing program. We've kept the investment very accessible as well. It's just 3 payments of $128. You can save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start February 18th and run Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the transcripts, and the community as well. So there's some great testimonials on the page from Annie's previous course at Shift. Truly a wonderful teacher, humble, accessible, and deeply intuitive. She has released, revived, and renewed my body, mind, and soul through her passionate right-on healings. Brilliant teacher has the unique ability to receive information from her wise spirit guide. And I can personally attest to the power of her teaching and work. And she was referred by Suzanne Giesman, one of our most discerning and most beloved faculty members. So you are truly in great hands, and you will receive profound benefits if you choose to move forward. So again, all the details on this course are at quantumsourceactivations.com. And again, the title of it is Quantum Source Activation, Become a Living Bridge Between Matter and Source for Profound Healing and Restored Vitality. So Annie, a beautiful hour with you as always. Anything that you want to still share about folks who are, with folks who are considering joining the course with you?
I think that what I'd like to say is that there's always hope for every aspect of our lives that may be an obstacle at the moment. And this course is designed to remove those obstacles and to feel hope again about anything. And so I do believe anything could be healed. So.
Well, it's really clear that our world is in need of a lot of healing right now. And I know it can be very traumatizing, sometimes face news cycles out there. So there's a lot that's coming to the surface for people. So this course is a really perfectly timed blessing to really help get at the deep levels of what needs to be healed and cleared in us and connect to source energy so we can really radiate out a healthy, whole, new way of being. So thank you, Annie, for your pioneering work in this arena. Thank you for your wisdom today, and thank you all for joining. And if you'd like to go further again, it's Quantum Source Energy Activations, quantumsourceactivations.com, and the course is Quantum Source Energy Activation, And you will get that special bonus when you sign up at midnight tonight of sound healing to revitalize your energy body. 7 keys of awakening prana. So
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciative.
thank you so much. Many blessings.